Is it just us, or are cars becoming more homogeneous? EVs came along and they largely feel the same as each other to drive. Everything else is a 4, 6 or 8 cylinder turbo. And then there's this. Sorry, not that. This, the 2025 Audi RS3. And it has something different. Can you tell what it is?
Well, is it because it's green?
Is it green? Oh, well, yeah. Well, it's not that.
Okay.
How about now?
Well, that bit's red.
It is red, but no, why are you so obsessed with colours? No, it's not that.
I know about colours.
Fine, okay. What if I showed you this?
Why do you keep showing me that photo?
Okay, to be fair, I've tricked you.
Typical.
Because what's different about this car is that it has character. And you can't necessarily tell that just by looking at it, but I can hint at it by pressing this button.
The air conditioning?
Sorry, this button.
Ooh. What are we demonstrating?
Oh, sorry, we'll cut to the launch.
Okay. Oh, shit.
It's 3.9 seconds.
Holy crap,
3.9 seconds with two people in the car. The claim is 3.8. So that, wow.
I reckon that'd be 3.5 if you're on your own.
Possibly,
man.
yeah. I mean, you're the
geez.
physicist. You tell us the bloody weight to speed ratio or whatever it's called.
I couldn't do
Some
that.
sort of triangle. I didn't pay attention in science. Wow, that is blisteringly fast.
That felt incredible, man.
Yeah. Being so close to the ground in this kind of small compact car, it really heightens that sense of speed as well.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that in this whole world of SUVs and big sedans.
Right, like where everyone seems to be gravitating towards these tank-like cars, this thing's a bullet.
It absolutely is a bullet.
Yeah.
It just sounds exotic.
Yeah, and you hear it throughout the entire, it feels like every single fiber
Surrounding
of
you.
the car is like, we are feeling this. Yeah.
If you were to close your eyes, ideally not while driving, this could pass for like some Italian supercar or something. The reason it sounds so good is because of its unique 5-cylinder configuration. It leads to more than just the sound. I'll expand on some of that a little bit later.
Okay.
But there's another reason why this car has character. Because yeah, the 5-cylinder configuration is unique. But what makes it different is that it feels special, mostly because, well, not physically, and also that's not the engine, but mostly because it harkens back to this history and heritage of the original Audi Quattro from the 80s. It's one of the last 5-cylinder performance engines that are mass-produced that you can buy on the market. So if you want something different, this is it.
Wow, okay. Well, that's all cool with the cylinders and the history, and I understand that maybe that's important to certain buyers, but like, you know, for a novice coming in, not knowing this, would it still be an appealing car?
That's an interesting question, actually. I wonder how many buyers know or care about the history and the heritage. I guess, what are your first impressions of the car?
I personally love the way it looks. I love the color. I think the proportions of it are really nice. And it's basically like they've gotten a lot of Audi engineering and tightened it up and put it in a tight little package where it's got kind of everything.
Yeah, I really love it too. And I really also...
I really love it too.
I like whatever you like. I love the color as well. I wouldn't get it myself because I'm too much of a coward, but I love that this color exists. Because one of the things we talk about in our other Audi videos is that they're kind of a jack of all trades and they're kind of in the middle of that Venn diagram, but they don't set a foot too far in any one direction. But colors like this really help them
Definitely
step out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's far more fun.
Yeah, a lot
far
more fun.
Than the other cars that we've driven. They're a lot more serious. This is like, it's party time.
Yeah. One detail I really appreciate about this side profile is this line here, that really sharp line that goes straight up into bloody space.
That's where the sharpness comes in.
I think, yeah, without that particular design line, it would be a fairly kind of bland or monotonous sort of side profile.
And what about that front air vent? Is that a functional vent?
Front air vent is actually functional. I'm surprised that you even thought to ask that, Andy. You wouldn't even know that normally.
Well,
yeah.
it's funny because it kind of steps back from it and it's just like, okay, what's the point? And I guess it has one.
Get hot air from the brakes and come shooting out
And
there.
what is
fun.
Oh, okay, makes it, all right.
Yeah,
sweet.
makes it just feel nice, you know?
Yeah.
And around the back, I really like this huge rear diffuser.
Does it put lavender scent into the air as it travels?
Not that kind
Lime
of diffuser,
scent?
mate. Yeah, no. Oh, that would be a good one, actually.
Yeah.
No, it diffuses the air, or at least it supposedly does, but actually a lot of it is just for look.
Oh, okay.
And then these slim tail lights kind of gives the rear end this kind of like frowning but and kind of angry look, like a angry green bee.
So if you were following it on the motorway, you'd be like, oh, I need to step back from that.
The front is probably the weakest angle for me, and only because it took me a while to figure this out. It's because the grille is black, the surround frame is black, and it's connected to the headlights, and so it just looks like they got all these elements and like slam them all together. I also like how the headlights have this checkered flag motif on it, so I guess you could officiate a race.
Absolutely, just to get a couple of these bad boys and swing them from the wires that are attached to them at the end as soon as they're doing
Yes, that's traditionally how they do it with one of these headlights.
Well, I have seen it with the flag, so that'd be a good.
Well, it's actually not the only place where this checkered flag is visible. There's some on the inside too, I'll show you.
What do we have here?
So this is very familiar. The steering wheel we've seen a lot of in the new S5, the new Q6. It continues to grow on me.
What about these buttons?
I'm unreasonably happy about those buttons because one of the things in the RSQ8 that bothered me was that the RS button, which is the big special button because you got the RS, was the same color as everything else. As the mute button.
You don't want that.
Nah, you want it. I mean, I know Audi's about being subtle and understated and so on, but having a nice, clear, obvious, sporty red button for that is cool. And then the infotainment screen is on the smaller side, but I appreciate that it is not a stuck-on tablet kind of look.
Totally.
I'm used to seeing this in the current generation A6 and Q7. I've always liked it there.
Yeah.
I'm happy about it. But one thing that really stuck out for me, strangely, were these air vents. Because I'll tell you why. One, it kind of reminds me of like a jet fighter airplane. Yeah. Not that I have much experience flying a jet.
But you know, jet fighters, they're probably like flying in their jets and going like, man,
This is
like the RS3.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing that. It's just a cool and different layout. I really like it.
Yeah.
There's only one downside to this, which is because there is no screen up on the dash, you're seeing a lot of dash.
Yes.
And there's no particularly premium material up here on the dash.
Coming from me, there is a lot of scratchy plastic up here, which we see in all cars, but it's like a desert of it.
It's more noticeable, even just like some stitching, some coloured stitching or something would have been enough for me there. Also, the door handles are really cool. I know it's a weird thing to point out, but they're different. And they...
Because you can get a grip on them.
Well, ideally you can get a grip on them. It'd be awkward if you can't. And then classic, as every other Audi we've tested recently, the seats are awesome. They look good. They're super soft and comfortable.
Super comfy.
Hey.
Yeah. I would happily get this car. It's funny you're saying you prefer bigger cars. This is where it's at. Because I feel like nothing is wasted. It's just like we've put everything that we can, concentrated into a tight little package, and you can have all the features that you really, really love. And it's going to be perfect on your own, but it can also have a little degree of flexibility to take the family with you.
Yeah, that's true. No, I get that. And especially after driving this, I get it more and more. My final point would be, and this is true of all the other Audis we've tested as well, is this the center console with its little nub for changing gear and all the gloss black. I'm not a huge fan of that. But that only really matters when you're stopped and looking around. And what this thing is really good at is not being stopped. In other words, moving. And moving at pace, because this motor is an absolute gem. Actually, I'll tell you what I really like about this engine. Is that it has some turbo lag, which is normally something that you try to reduce or remove.
That's the time in between you planting your foot and it like taking off?
Correct. And what I like about that is that there's this delta. You put your foot down, nothing happens, and then it starts pushing you back.
Holy shit.
And there's that moment, that delta, between what you anticipate and then what actually happens that gives you a thrill kind of every time. And I think that's what I like about having a bit of turbo lag.
It contrasts so heavily with modern cars, especially EVs, where they have that instant torque.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you get to the top of the roller coaster and you know what's about to hit. And that thrill, that anticipation is fucking building.
Adds to that character, right? Because I think for me, character is imperfection. I also really get on well with this dual clutch transmission. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with these because they're quite often clunky and a bit confusing, especially at low speeds. This is calibrated really well, whether you're driving it around town in comfort mode or if you're in its balls to the wall performance mode. The gear changes are never in the way. They're very seamless, but it's like a split second to change gears, And then there's the handling and the steering. We've driven some fast cars recently, right? None that handle like this. This is on another level. It's unbelievably fast around corners.
It's so low, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I think we're going to like cascade into the road.
Yeah. The more you turn the wheel, the car pivots around it.
Yeah.
And look, of course it has grip for days because of Audi's Quattro, which is tried and tested by now.
Yeah.
What's new about this is the torque splitter at the rear,
Okay.
which can send more power to the outer wheel as you're cornering.
It does feel like it's like, oh, I'm just going to line you up to where you want to be.
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
It's literally, I know it's an overused cliche, but it feels like it's on rails, like on a train track, and you're just following it around the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely so impressive.
Honestly, I reckon it could do like a 90-degree turn on a flipping dime.
It feels like it could. And I mean, what's so awesome about that is that Audis for years have been known to have understeer, right, going around corners. I think they've honestly not fully fixed it, but they've gone a long way here in dealing with that, which is cool for so many reasons. One, obviously for the performance, but two, because Audi have clearly listened to people's feedback over the years about understeer, and they've done something about it.
Good old taking consumer feedback.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that. So it's really no surprise that, once again, the RS3 is the fastest compact car around the Nürburgring, which is, I know you think it's a made-up word.
It's not a real thing.
Yeah, I know. Critically, which is, again, true to kind of Audi fashion, is at the press of a button, you pop it into comfort mode, and this thing could pass for an Audi A3. You wouldn't know that it has that performance under the hood or on tap. Which leads me to one last thing about this car that I think gives it that extra bit of character. We've heard the next RS3 may not be a pure combustion engine. It'll likely have some form of hybridization. That's not inherently a bad thing, but here's what it means. That makes this a potentially last in line kind of product.
That is unreal. That's really sad. It feels
It
like
is.
an end of an era.
I know,
man.
I know.
But what a way to go out.
I know. And look, if you want something that's fast, looks good, is reasonably practical, and actually feels special and has character, I can't think of many other cars in this price range that you could get.
Such an incredible package,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And you do get a lot. You get a lot of that premium.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really cost effective as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And the sound and the pace of the engine,
Yeah,
man. Oof.
it goes such a long way. And like the classic old man thing to do is when these new cars come out, be like, oh, it feels so soulless, I prefer the cars from the old days with the manual transmission and the this and that. And
No power steering.
Yeah.
I like to wrench the thing.
Yeah. But and I get all that because every newer car is more refined and more smooth, and maybe sometimes it takes away from the
No one's
experience.
happy.
But in this example, I think it's like the good old days are here. They're here right now. It's in this car. Get one while you still can.
The good current days are here.
The good old current days are currently here.
Yeah.
And they're good.